Hi, welcome to my channel, Fighting Hate 101. I'm your host, Keck Vest. I'm here at a Black Lives Matter rally?
Movement rally.
Event. I'm at the first Black Lives Matter event I've ever seen. So, Andrew and Ariana were nice enough to give me a quick interview. Right off the bat, first question is obviously, why are you here and what are your objectives?
Basically, fighting justice. We're out here to, we want to open the eyes of other people. We want to open the eyes of other colors other than just my own, that, we're the ones that are grieving and we're the ones that are in pain every single day, and we gotta worry about if we're gonna go home tomorrow or if we're gonna go home that day or whatnot, right? I don't want to be able to be pulled over for a rolling stop and then being scared to, if I'm gonna die that day. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we're out here. We're basically fighting justice. We're just fighting for somewhat of equality, but we're not being peaceful about it anymore. It's time to make a change.
Okay, well, I got to tell you, what I've seen so far has actually been very peaceful, and I'm impressed by that. We don't necessarily need division right now.
Yeah.
So I told you I had two questions. The first one was, oh yeah, I just earlier the guy with the truck rolled by. He said all lives matter. You hear that a lot?
Am I allowed to cuss? Or should I?
I'd like to keep it family friendly.
Family friendly?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. The guy in the truck basically saying all lives matter. What I don't understand about is, I feel like white people have a thing where if they don't feel included, they want to be a part of something really badly.
Okay.
Because we have a movement which shouldn't even be a thing. We shouldn't even have a movement. Nobody should have a movement.
Nobody should have a movement?
Nobody should have a movement, including my people, myself. But the fact that we have a movement is what's sad. We shouldn't be out here protesting and freaking wanting change. And then now we have white people saying, oh, all lives matter, because they want to be included. That's the thing. They want to be included in something. But at the end of the day, all lives, yes, they do matter. But right now, in this time, 2020, and for decades and decades, Black lives is what's mattered right now. Because you guys are not the ones that are getting killed out in the streets by police for nothing, for no reason, for selling a CD. Someone's getting shot and killed. Someone's getting suffocated.
Okay, we are in Hamilton though.
Yeah.
I don't want to go off because I did tell you that I was just going to ask the two questions.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry. It might be me. Your objection to when people say all lives matter is because they feel like they're being left out. They want to be included in something. Yes. I'm sorry. I'm trying to articulate that, and I think I'm wasting my time with that question. So I'll move on to the next one. Okay. Which is, I've been here for an hour and a half, and I haven't heard the name Regis. I was in Toronto just 2 days ago, and it was the whole event was about Regis. Is this event about Regis? Regis? The woman who got pushed.
This event is not just about the people who lost their lives. Sadly, this event is strictly for Black people who are basically endangered.
Okay, so this event isn't necessarily about the death of Regis.
There's no event for a single person. We're not fighting for one person. We're fighting for a mass of Black people. We're fighting for everybody who's of color.
Okay.
That's why we're fighting.
And the end game is to feel safe from the police.
The end game is to be able to be pulled over and not being able to think that we're gonna die.
The end game is for change.
End game is change.
Yeah, no, and I respect that. So I guess the changes you want change in police policies.
We want change in police policy. We want change in the system. We want to be able to. There's a lot of Black people in jail that shouldn't be in jail for the time that they're in.
Okay.
A lot of Black people are in jail for selling a little bit of weed, in jail for 40, 50 years. Or maybe someone who has a D1 scholarship, and a white lady decides to play a prank and say that, oh no, he raped me at a party, and then he's in jail for 40 years and loses his D1 scholarship and ruins his life, in jail for nothing. That's what we want change for. We want police, and we want anybody in the world to just recognize that we're in a gutter. We're in a gutter right now. We've been in the gutter for decades. Since slavery, we've been in the gutter.
Well, we're in Canada, so
it doesn't matter about where we're at.
Where are we at as Canadians?
Well, it doesn't matter where we are. I could be in fucking. Sorry, I don't mean to screw my language.
No, like if it slips out, it slips out. I'm just saying on the whole.
But I'm just saying I could be. I don't know where. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's a state's problem. It's not just a state's problem. It's not a Canadian problem. It's not this. It's a problem in general.
It's a global thing.
It's a global problem. That's why there's protests from here all the way to the UK, to Africa, to Ireland, everywhere. They're protesting.
Not in China, they're not.
They want probably not in China, but hey.
Well, no, actually, they are in
China. There might be a couple people
They are in
out there
China.
doing what they're doing. Because they want change globally. This is a global thing. Just like how coronavirus is a global pandemic, this is a global problem. It's been a problem for decades and decades. It's finally that time. It's now the time that we're actually seeing a bit of change and seeing a little bit of heart. I was just talking to one of the police officers over there, and the fact that he really understood what I was talking about, and he indulged what I was saying, that's important to us.
Well, what's important to me is, and I think the officer that you talked to, I've had my conflicts with. I mean, and he's been a good guy. Don't get me wrong. But what is it like? In other words, is just having that communication with you enough to bring forward the change?
Having what communication?
Like, in other words, the dialogue is essential with the police. Would you agree with that?
I guess to an extent.
Oh, okay. Like, no, like you guys are talking. I noticed, like even your friend there, like that if you guys separate and you segregate from each other, and you just mindlessly scream back, like you scream at them, and then they react. Yeah. You know, you'll if you don't understand, if the police cannot understand what your grievances are, then obviously the police are incapable of it. They'll never change.
Exactly.
Right? So you absolutely need the dialogue with the police department.
Yes.
And I
that's
think
what we're trying to communicate. We're trying to communicate with the police in order for us to make a change. But the fact that the problem is that some officers are, they're not making that change.
Okay, but again, we just established that some are.
Some are.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not out here hating on every police officer. I'm just here hoping that some police officers can open their eyes and see why we're out here trying to make a change.
Okay, and I appreciate your time. It looks like really quick before I let you go, that deal with the knife, that had nothing to do with you guys?
Nothing to do with that.
I'll leave that out. All right, peace out. I really do appreciate your time, bro. One of the things, and I asked your buddy, I interviewed your buddy back there, and I asked him this question. And I've been here an hour and a half. I just heard the name Regis. Oh, correction, I just heard the name.
My name's RJ.
No, the guy from the States.
Oh, Floyd.
Floyd, right? But what about Regis? Regis is the woman that was like, I was at the Black Lives Matter in Toronto. Yeah. And I mean,
The one that was thrown off the balcony?
well, the one that at the moment we know
off the balcony.
she went off the balcony,
Okay.
right? Because the last thing we need to do is start.
Right. We don't have video on that one.
Well, the problem with when you're saying the eye for an eye thing
Well,
is we don't know yet, right? And if it turns out that she did fall,
in that case,
we burn,
there are a lot of
burn,
cases we do know. That's my issue.
we burn Toronto to the ground.
There's a lot of
oh, there's no doubt in my mind about that guy with his knee on the neck, right?
I feel like even the death sentence is just way too easy for.
Maybe, but I'm just saying if you want to stop.
That's a slippery slope,
If you
though.
want to stop burning of buildings and looting, I think if you bring out a demonstration like that, you will pacify a lot of people. You'll stop a lot of people from causing more harm because they'll say, hey, you know what? That was just, that was right, and it was dealt with. Not 14 years of court or maybe something, like not even first-degree manslaughter, whatever it is, right? So you have to take a stance that shows that we can do as like the strength of the police force shouldn't be stronger than the strength of the people's force.
Yes.
That's how it should
So
be.
you're advocating that we should keep our guns.
Well,
not that I own a legal gun.
I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying in this instance, and in many instances like that, the law took advantage of the situation, and they are not, and they're protected by the law, but that man was not protected by the law.
Oh, absolutely not. And absolutely, it's disturbing that the cop was so coy about it. The guy was so sure that, what are you going to do? What are you going to mess with me, right? But on the other side of the coin, I didn't see racism. In the video, I saw a cop acting like a cunt. I didn't see racism. Like, well, because that, like we know the cop was white. We know the perpetrator, or not the perpetrator, the victim, the guy who got murdered was black, right? But those two factors alone do not automatically lead me to jump straight to racism.
What more would you need?
Well,
I would anything. I would need evidence that
yeah,
it.
for like racially charged.
So you're okay. So he has a history of racism.
And the guy, like the victim himself, like he was only pinned down because he had a fake check. And I mean, some homeless guy was going around pickpocketing people. He had a knife on him. The cops didn't do anything to him.
You mean here today?
Yeah, they're still trying to find.
What happened with that? I got there after the cops.
They're still they're still looking for info. But I bet if that guy was black and in the States, he would have been dead within seconds. Because first of all, it's a black guy against the cops. He's stealing people. He's homeless. He has a weapon. Like he's still alive. He's still walking around. But some guy had a fake check that actually turned out to be real.
I heard it was a fake 20, but I don't know for sure.
Well, it was like just some sort of fake money.
Yeah.
But like,
Okay,
it
but
was
let's leave it at
real.
that.
His
Yeah.
money was still real at the end of the day, and like.
But
Certainly not worth his life.
but again, how did we translate to the cop was a cunt to the cop was acting because he's racist? I gotta edit out my own damn video. I gotta watch my language.
Wait, are we allowed to swear? Or like?
I would appreciate it if you didn't. If it happens, it happens. But like I just did, right? And but yeah, okay. Again, I'm looking for. We everybody. There's five people here. We all agree that it was wrong. We all agree that the cop was blatantly murdered a man, right? The only thing I need is evidence that it was motivated by racism.
Well, how many videos do you see of white guys having that same issue happen to them?
I just watched
Almost, right? I mean, you don't see it. You don't see golfers getting, taken down and put a knee on their throat and actually killed. You see black people. You see Trayvon Martins. You see all these black men over the last 15 years. There's a list endless of them, white cops on black cops. What more do you need to see that it's racially charged?
And I mean, that cop specifically, like, he has so many other charges against him that, I mean, like, it's not that far.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that.
Like a 50th charge?
Yeah, I'd have to look into that.
How is he still working, right?
Yeah.
How about the cops here in Hamilton? Because I've seen them treating you pretty well.
I don't know, like, I'd say, like, I've never really had a horrible encounter with the cops here. But I guess, like...
Should hang out with me more.
Yeah.
It's insulated here, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, again, I'm not perfect, but, my channel is about rallies and protests. And I gotta tell you, the cops are very impartial and have a really difficult job to do. I guess what I'm trying to get to here is there is a problem with the system, though, right? And there are bad cops, and there is a problem with the system.
It's not the cops that are wrong. Like,
It's the system more than people. Oh, okay. I don't hear that one a lot. So what's the best way to change the system?
Honestly, like, I don't know. Like, they're just as dumb as it sounds. Like, I really don't know, but there just needs to be a change because, like, the way that it works, like, there's so many people that just suffer. Like, in every demographic, you have poor people, minorities. Like, these people shouldn't be suffering just for random reasons, like mental illness related reasons, or just anything. Like, you can't get a job, so you're just forced out on the street. Just, I don't know. Like, it's just the way the whole, like, everything with the system itself was built upon. Like, I don't want to get all, like, racial, but I mean, like, the fact that, like, the people that built this country were white, and, like, all the institutions and all the things that they built.
Can I step in on that?
Pardon?
Can I step into that?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. You know who Johnny McDonald is?
Yeah.
All right. And beg your pardon? Oh, absolutely. He was no Justin Trudeau, but yeah, he was definitely a crook.
All of our original forefathers were slave owners.
Not my father.
Forefathers, I'm saying.
Okay. Well, I want to stick on what I forgot your name.
Eddie.
How the hell did I forget Eddie? People call me Ed all the time. In order to have Canada, in order for Canada to be a country, in order to have human resources like oil and fish and lumber, the only way it was going to happen is if all 10 provinces agreed to join this nation, to this project called Canada.
Yeah.
If it were not for the railroads, there would be no Canada. Every single province said, well, what's the point of joining you, right? If what's the point of joining you in Quebec if I got no way to get goods to New Brunswick or to BC? There's no point.
Yeah.
So what he promised every state, John A. Macdonald, was that he would build a railroad. And who built the railroads?
Yeah.
Chinese, Asians. Chinese immigrants, they was basically almost akin to slave labor.
Yeah.
It was almost indentured servitude, right?
What do you think minimum wages today? It's the same thing.
Well, no,
it's a poverty wage, right? You can't even
they
live on
died.
minimum
They died in the mines.
I'm just
in
saying,
large numbers.
Slavery hasn't gone anywhere away.
Oh yeah, and I'm not referring to chattel slavery, but what I'm trying to get at is that no, Canada was not built by white people, right?
Yeah, like literally no, but like I mean, like you said, the way that they got everybody to like agree to like form like the provinces and all that, like that was it. Those were minorities.
What do you know about a Hamiltonian, Lincoln Alexander?
Not much.
Not much. Like there were not basically somebody who helped build not just this nation, but had a lot to do with the building of Hamilton, right?
But it's evolved a lot in 150 years. Those are true things that you're mentioning, but just because that's how it started doesn't mean that we got to a point where the corruption within corporations hasn't influenced governments to form the police and form everything else and create inequality over everybody. So
okay.
That's where we are today. You know, not 150 years ago. We are here today because corporations influence government, and that's the plan of how you move forward with everything. You control people that way through fear, through diplomacy, through whatever it is.
Do you feel that we, the people, are very instrumental in paving that road ourselves?
I mean, are you asking me like, was it our responsibility that we got to how we got to this place?
I think it's up to us as people to recognize that it took all races to build this country, right? I think part of the problem that when you're saying about the perceptions of black people in the eyes of the police and not just the police, right? It's how black people are perceived has a lot to do with how we as Canadians see ourselves.
That's what I was gonna say. Like the fact that people like, I mean, like I didn't know much about the Lincoln Man.
To be honest with you, neither do I. It just popped into my mind. I'm sure there's a church. I'm sure you may or not be aware of, down by the Giant Tiger, that was instrumental in the Underground Railway. There's a lot of rich African, Chinese, white history, right? And if we embrace all of our history, if we recognize that if it were not for Chinese immigrants, we would not have the greatest. We would not be living in the greatest nation on the planet.
Yeah, but I mean, like I was gonna say though, like the fact that Lincoln and Alexander, like he helped build like the buildings and all that, like so many people, like I'm not saying you guys shouldn't be proud of your country, but like just so many.
You guys?
Well, like I was
we should be proud of our country.
Yeah, but I was gonna say like white people, like they feel like so much pride about like, oh, this is our country, like this is ours. You guys shouldn't be here. Like that's like kind of like what I was trying to get at. Like even if like other people built the railroads, or even if like that guy built.
There is an entitlement there. You're right.
Yeah, people feel like, oh, this is my country. We built it. Why are you here? Because we got here first. Like that's.
Okay, that's something we need to fight against.
Yeah.
Right? Now, don't get me wrong, and I don't want to get into it because it's a whole. If you check out my channel, you might hear people talk about illegal immigration. It's a whole other issue.
Yeah.
Right. But it's starting to get cold, and it looks like this is starting to wrap up. I really appreciate your time, guys. I can't think of anything to add, so respect.
Yeah.
And I'll put this up.